Hey, what's the word, players? It's Halloween season once again, and you know what that means. That's right, it's time to talk about non-horror games that scared me. If you haven't had a chance to check out the previous videos in this spooky series, definitely check them out. Otherwise, let's get into our first pick. You ever play a game that just feels off to you when you can't explain why? Like something about it feels unsettling even though it's not trying to make you feel unease? That's me with this game. The Incredible Hulk: The Pantheon Saga. Now, I don't have memories of being a huge Hulk fan as a kid. Well, at least not before seeing the first movie that, I thought at the time seemed really cool. And of course, playing Hulk Ultimate Destruction made me a Hulk fan. But before those, I'm not sure if I asked my parents for this game or if they got it for me. But in any case, in this game you play as, obviously, the Hulk, who's been captured by a group called the Pantheon. But because the pilot doesn't know how to fly a ship, Hulk escapes, and that's how the game begins. I will say I did not enjoy my time with this game, and not just because this is not a good game, but because it always just felt creepy to play as a kid. The graphics are digitized 3D models turned into sprites, similar to Donkey Kong Country and all sorts of other games during that time. But even as a kid, this always just gave off an uncanny feel to everything in this game. Like, take Hulk here. I can barely make out his features. You can't even see his face. And all the enemies being modeled this way definitely led into this whole creepy feeling. But another factor that made this game feel so unsettling was the constant darkness for everything that's out of view. There was a lot of games during this time that used different methods of hiding draw distance, such as Silent Hill famously using the fog, which actually helped Silent Hill in that regard. Although I think with this game it had the unintended effect of making each level feel claustrophobic and suspenseful, because I can't see if there's another enemy or trap just out of view. Seriously, I just hated playing this game as a kid. And honestly, even as an adult revisiting this game for this video, I still hate this game, because now I realize that this game was just terrible. Even replaying this, I still can't get past the first area before I've decided, I had enough. Incredible Hulk: The Pantheon Saga, I'm sorry, is not an absolute win. Do yourself a favor, play Hulk Ultimate Destruction instead. Sonic Adventure 2, the game that introduced the world to Shadow the Hedgehog, soap shoes that I had no idea were actually a real thing, and the classic song Live and Learn by Crush 40. SA2 would be the last mainline Sonic game on a Sega console and the second on Nintendo hardware, which was huge at the time if you knew about the console wars. I first played Sonic Adventure 2 as Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube, and this game, alongside Super Smash Bros., Melee, and Mario Kart, and all sorts of games, were my childhood growing up, as well as probably most people that own the GameCube. Heck, I still randomly hum the different Knuckles stage themes in my head from time to time. Speaking of Knuckles, Sonic Adventure 2 takes a very interesting turn in terms of stage theming compared to its predecessor. On the hero side, on stage 6, you play as Knuckles in Pumpkin Hill.
This place sure feels haunted. There's no time to lose. I have to hurry and find the Master Emerald.
Oh my gosh, right off the bat, the sound of the rocket during this cutscene always jump scared me as a kid. But after the cutscene, you take control of Knuckles. The atmosphere of Pumpkin Hill is unlike anything you've seen in the previous levels. Literally, just a level ago, you had a high-octane race against the clock as Sonic in Green Forest. You're surrounded by a pitch-dark, bottomless pit. Luckily, if you fall in, you get saved by a gust of wind that carries you to safety. But if you don't touch the ground, then it's farewell. The stage theme, A Ghost's Pumpkin Soup, while a certified hood classic, is haunting and narrates what Knuckles is feeling as he goes through the level. You get ghosts called Boos, no relation, roaming around ready to grab you or knock Knuckles, and maybe even the player on the other screen, off their feet. I remember I had this strategy guide for this game and being freaked out when I turned the page and I saw the 3D models of these things. Just seeing these things with their orange bloodshot eyes and sharp teeth, it freaked me out as a kid. Also on Pumpkin Hill, you have the ghost train with no one on board. And in the distance, you see these tall pumpkin-faced mountain structures glowing in the twilight. One part of Pumpkin Hill has a haunted church with a cemetery in front. Whose tombstones are these? Do these belong to the boos that roam around? But you don't have time to ask questions. You've got one objective: to get the 3 emerald pieces and dip before you become the next boo yourself. As a kid, this was still during a time where I wasn't exactly bright enough to understand the concept of saving game progress. I'm pretty sure I would have had a memory card at this point, but I don't think I figured out how to use it, so I was under the impression that you had to beat games in one sitting. So every time I turned off the GameCube and then started another playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2, I always had to replay from the beginning, and Pumpkin Hill kept me from progressing any further in the game because it was too spooky for me as a kid. Over time, as I got more familiar with the stage layout, I started to overcome my fear. When I finally got the last emerald piece, I let out the biggest exhale. I did it. Surely the game must be almost over. Oh, I'm not even halfway through? Okay, then surely there's no more ghosts, right? Still wrong. The next Knuckle stage that you have is Aquatic Mine, which also scared me.
I didn't expect the inside of the mines to be like this. This is gonna be tougher than I thought.
Even though Deep into Mellow helped calm me down, it did not change the fact that there are even more boos to deal with here than you had to deal with in Pumpkin Hill. Plus, this level has a water gimmick where you have to raise or lower the water level. And you know how Sonic fans feel about water levels. Oh my gosh, these aquatic mines would go on to be the next gatekeeper stage of Sonic Adventure 2 battle, until I gained enough courage to beat this one. Yes, okay, finally, no more ghosts, right?
Huh? Who's there? What the? A ghost?
Bro, are you serious? Why are there so many ghosts in this game? Okay, so you have a boss fight against King Boom Boo. He's the biggest ghost you faced so far, and even Knuckles is shook. What you have to do is you have to run from him while he gives chase, but not too fast, otherwise he'll circle around the other side of the circle room and give chase the other way. When he's distracted going for a flame attack, you must punch the ghost hiding behind him, carrying an hourglass that opens the ceiling and lets the light in. Since ghosts aren't too crazy about light, he slinks into the shadows. You dig him out, and in a small weakened form, he runs away from you. The roles have reversed, and now you're the one giving chase. You lay the hands on him until the hourglass runs out, you repeat this a few more times, and then you're finally ghost free. Finally, we're able to leave those ghosts in the dust. But even though we conquered the ghosts of the past, there are still some more frightful moments in SA2 that stopped me dead in my tracks. But we'll save those encounters for another time. When I was a kid, I always had to get a movie-based game on every Disney movie I saw, and one that we're looking at today is Finding Nemo. I remember Finding Nemo being pretty hyped up. It was either Toon Disney or Disney Channel, I think it was Disney Channel, that was promoting the heck out of this movie with this segment called Fishy Facts.
Hello. Meet Bruce. Hi, Bruce.
Where during commercial breaks, they would share real or fictional facts about sea life in order to promote the movie. And I'd say it was pretty effective, although in hindsight, I'm not sure how I feel about this method. I went ahead, saw the movie, loved it, and naturally asked my parents to get me the game based on the movie on GameCube. Finding Nemo, the video game, was developed by Traveler's Tales, our good old friends who made licensed games such as A Bug's Life, another game featured in the series. Oh man, so what did they do now? In Finding Nemo, the game, Nemo gets captured and it's up to his father Merlin and his friend Dory to rescue him. This game is I'm not sure what kind of genre you call this. A fish? Platformer? Sure, let's go with that. You play out certain scenes from the movie with liberties taken, of course. I wouldn't say it's the greatest game out there, but it has its charm. Although, there are a few things that made me clam up in this game. The first instance is pretty early on in the game when you're playing as Nemo. He touches the boat, the butt, and is chased by the diver. This scene was already a pretty intense moment in the movie, but in the movie it was over pretty quickly. Here, you gotta experience it for a few minutes. Ah man, the sense of scale of the diver right behind you while hearing him breathe to the snorkel like he's Darth Vader. Oh dude, that just gave me chills as a kid. Oh, and the diver's goggles right in the center of the screen was so creepy. It's almost like he's looking directly at you, the player, breaking the fourth wall. But eventually, it's over, and it ends with Nemo getting caught, just like in the movie. So, I mean, it's almost like this whole point was pointless. We fast forward to Merlin and Dory meeting Bruce, the great white shark, for the first time. He invites the two over to meet as friends at an old submarine. So at this part, you're supposed to keep up with Bruce as he swims ahead of you by swimming through these rings. I don't know why he's in such a hurry, but if you fall too far behind... What the heck, man? Dude! His eyes turn all black and he goes into a frenzy mode and he swims off screen, presumably to kill Dory. Like, dude, why does he have no chill? This is overkill, in the literal sense of the word. Anyway, eventually you make it to the submarine. Merlin and Dory find the mask of the diver that took Nemo. They have a disagreement and Dory accidentally gets a bloody nose. Bruce takes a whiff, and before you know, his old ways kick in and he wants to eat Merlin and Dory. Another brief, intense scene in the movie becomes an entire level called The Submarine, where you get chased by a crazed Bruce who wants to eat you. Bro, what the heck? This is not cool. This level literally stopped me from beating this game as a kid. You see Bruce's black eyes in the darkness, and just like the diver, it looks like he is looking right at you, the player. Oh man, he's just smashing up everything in his path and he lunges after you to have you as a snack. Oh, okay, well that's pretty funny. That makes this a little less traumatizing for a game over screen. Although, no, this is still kind of traumatizing. Well, I'm glad Dory seems to be having the time of her life here. Speaking of Dory, what you're supposed to do is when you see the exclamation mark above Dory's head, that indicates that you have to dodge. Me, being a terrified 9-year-old, didn't catch that detail because I was too focused on the fact that I'm getting chased by a dang shark. So, I had to do this part over and over and over again. Eventually, I made it past this part, but then the stage transitions into a 2.5D section. Okay, at least I'm not being chased anymore. All I have to do is just get past this section and this is over, right? No. You make it past that part, and before you know it, there's more chasing. Also, keep in mind the checkpoint system in this game is terrible, as checkpoints are very few and far between. So if you lose at any point, you have to replay a huge part of the level all over again. My heart and patience had enough, and I could not beat this game. Thanks a lot, Bruce. Fish are friends, not food. My foot. I guess Nemo is just gonna be gone forever. Maybe I'll just watch the movie to get closure.
I'm having fish tonight! Coming soon to a theater near you.
My name
Starts with a D.
is Rasputin. But everybody calls me Raz.
It's kind of hard to describe, but Psychonauts is a game that just instantly transports me back to 2005 when this game released. I remember first seeing this game on G4 TV back in the day, and honestly the visuals alone were enough to sell me on the game. In Psychonauts you play as Raz, a runaway with psychic abilities who leaves his family's circus to join the summer camp, Whispering Rock Summer Camp, to train and become a Psychonaut, a group of secret agents with powers. A cool thing about Psychonauts is that it is a 3D platformer with really great writing and humor. Kinda reminds me of the early Ratchet and Clank games.
What? I'm not stupid. You're stupid. The coach is stupid. The whole camp is stupid. That thing flying at you is stupid.
What's flying at me?
Bobby Zeltz's foot, that's what! You stupid new kid! Yeah!
But a really unique thing about this game is that the levels take place inside people's minds, which can lead into some really cool directions. There's a lot of things I could talk about in Psychonauts that scared me, so we're gonna try to make this quick so I can cover as much of them as possible. Spoilers if you haven't had a chance to play a game that's been out for 20 years? 19? Wait, this game is almost 20 years old? Oh, I don't know how I feel about that information. In Psychonauts, when you're not bouncing around in people's minds, you're exploring Whispering Rock Summer Camp, and later on, another area. In the camp, the time of day can change depending on the story. At night, certain creatures make their appearance, such as a psychic bear. Dude, first Tomb Raider with the bear jump scares, and now this game, this freaked me out as a kid, because the first time I was going through the camp at night, I was just minding my own business. I didn't even see the bear at first, but then I saw the psychic hand, and I was thinking, oh, that must be my hand. But it wasn't until it grabbed me and lifted me up, and now I'm suddenly getting speed bagged by Smokey the Psychic Bear. That moment made me terrified to go exploring at night, because I thought that the only dangers happen in the mind levels. But little did I know is that danger lurks around every corner. Even water. Yes, even water is hazardous because Raz's family was cursed to die in water. If you fall into a body of water, a hand comes out of the water to snatch Raz and drag him under. That's seriously a really dark way to go, man. But that's nothing compared to when you encounter nightmares for the first time in this game. The first one that you encounter is in Agent Mila's mind. On the surface, Mia is like a total hippie, and her mind is all party and games and disco themed, but it hides a dark, repressed secret. In a tucked away room, you can uncover her memory vault. It reveals that she used to work at a children's orphanage, but there was a fire that burned the orphanage while she was out, and unfortunately, the children did not make it. It's a brutal memory to discover, and if you notice, there are figments in this room that look like children. To make matters even worse, if you crack open this chest, it will lead to her nightmares. Luckily, she has enough control of her nightmares to keep them trapped, but as you discover, these nightmares represent the children crying out in pain in their last moments in that burning orphanage. This deeply disturbed me as a kid. I wasn't even like fully aware of what was going on. But as an adult, this hits on an even deeper level, and it still makes my heart sink. And yet, this is something that you can entirely miss, and it would not affect the story whatsoever. Alright, so it's actually a few more moments in Psychonauts that scared me as a kid, but in an effort to try to get this video out before Halloween, I'm gonna stop here for now. But definitely look forward to seeing me revisit this game in another video. And with that, we end this chilling night of non-horror games that scared me. Did any of these games leave the same impression on you? Or let me know down below what non-horror games scared you. If you're looking for a non-denominational church, down in the description below will be a link to our church locator. If you're interested in hanging out, link to my Discord is also down below. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. Have a happy Halloween, take care, and until next time, GG, GB, peace.